Hello there, welcome back. I still have the Life's a Hoot collection on my desk, and I'm just about done with this paper pack. I have some scraps. I still have two full 12 by 12 sheets. These were bonus sheets that came with the workshop collection, so I might use those today. But it's been really fun working with the purples in this color palette. I know a lot of us have agreed that we love purples, but it seems like we don't have the opportunity to use them. So I've made a couple layouts already here on my channel, and this paper pack's been really fun. I do have quite a few stickers left. I've used about half of them, but I've got some title options. I still have these fun owls that I can use, and then lots of word sentiments, and then some flowers. The photo I am documenting today, I just came across this little gem. My mom has been giving me photos, and I just kind of put them in a box. So I'm cleaning out my craft room because I'm getting ready to film a craft room tour. Yes, that's happening this March. The entire creative design team will be doing a craft, well, most of us will be sharing our crafty spaces as well. So stay tuned for that. But I found this photo and I thought, you know what, there's a lot of purples in this. And sure enough, I think it's going to go beautifully. So this photo was taken maybe 1983, 84. I'm going to have to check with my mom just to be sure before I document the date. But yep, that's me. And my siblings, my older sister Jennifer, my brother Nick, and my other brother Peter. So this is just really fun to document these old family photos like this. So I'm super excited to get this into the album. This is not the original photo. I did scan the original in and create a copy, because the original that I have was a big, like 8.5 by or 8 by 10 or something like that. It was really big. So I wanted a smaller photo. So I have room for the story and other things on the scrapbook layout. I am going to lay down a sheet of white daisy. I definitely need some cardstock for my base because I'm working with a lot of scraps. So I need something to adhere them to. And so let me just get this lined up on my VersaMat here. It's so fun to get these old photos documented, and I'm having a really good time, just reliving these memories, photos that I haven't seen for a long time. When I'm working with scraps, I like to kind of just experiment a little bit and see what I can create before cutting into any more papers. And I'm looking at this one, and it really looks like the background in the photo. It just kind of looks like a continuation of it. There's a little bit more blue, but I like that because it just adds some separation. We don't want it too matchy-matchy. So right away, just putting this down on the paper like that, I can kind of see, well, I could do kind of a center focal point here. And this is a 5x7 that does include the white border. I could do some pattern paper on the side and then have my title underneath. So that's an option. I can also turn this paper this way, and there's still plenty of room, and then we can layer some of these other patterns kind of underneath here. So let's just try that for fun. You could do a little bit of white cardstock, but I want to see more of that pattern there. And then we have this pattern paper here. That might be big enough to mat the photo on. That could work. I just love how all of these purples and blues kind of bring out the tones in the photo. I think that that's perfect. I do like that. So I'm going to trim this down so the margins are even all the way around. I'll be right back. I left a really wide margin because I want to be able to see all the detail in that pattern. And then I thought it'd be fun to add a torn edge down on the bottom of this piece here. So I want it pretty straight. So I'm being very careful and deliberate. You can always wet it with water. Just get like a little water brush and run a line across, and that will help you tear a nice, even straight lines as well. Now that I tore that, it's too short, so we're seeing the branding strip there, but I could flip it over. There's a different pattern on the opposite side, and that actually looks kind of cool with the zip strip there, which is the branding strip, but I really want the circles. So I removed the branding strip, and maybe we can just we'll tear this one and then have the white on the bottom. That could work. While I'm kind of mulling that over, I'm just going to add a little black ink to my photo here. And I like to use this little sponge tool because it gives me a lot more control than just direct to paper, and I can put on just a very subtle amount of ink, or I can add a lot. I'm going to do this to the photo as well as the pattern papers, and I've sped this up quite a bit. And I will do the whole 12 by 12 background paper as well, but I won't make you watch me do that process. My friend Katie over at Scrap and Katie called this cobblestone paper, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see that. They're like little bricks. I thought it was kind of a fun pattern. I've decided I definitely want circles on the bottom, and I do not want that white cardstock showing, so it's worth it to me to cut into this bigger piece here, and we'll set that one aside for another project. So using the measurements on my VersaMat, I knew just how tall to cut that, and we'll layer it underneath there. Now for the title, I have this option from the sticker sheet. It says Everyday Smiles, and that's cute. That would definitely work. We could put the little owl sitting on top of the title, looking back over his wing into the photo. But I also have this title option. This is from the It's the Little Things collection, and it says Shine Bright. This is a paper board, which is kind of like chipboard, but not quite as thick. So I'm just going to put this, I know I want it over in this corner here. So I'll get these spaced out. And you know what? I'm liking the black. My brothers are wearing black in the photo, and I feel like that just kind of, you know, ties in with that and brings that color into the layout. Now I do want a little landing spot for the owl, so I have a large circle die. I'm just kind of measuring that, eyeballing it to see if that's a big enough circle. This is about 4 inches, but I also have my fancy doily thin cut, and you know what? I love it. And I'm kind of wearing a little frilly frock over my dress there, so I thought that this tied in nicely with that. I definitely want to use the doily. We could go with glacier cardstock or white. I think I do want to use the glacier, so I'll run this through my die cutting machine and through the magic of film editing. I have my fancy doily here. I'm going to cut off half of that because there's no sense in hiding it behind the photo when I could use that on a card or another project. So we'll just slide this under, layer it behind the owl. I think that's looking pretty good there. I have a chunk of this stripe pattern paper, which I could use. I love that paper, but maybe we should add some more black up here to kind of draw your eye up and across. Yeah, I think the black's going to be the one. So I've got a tag here. I'm just kind of seeing if there's enough room. And I like to place my dies like this. It just helps give you a good visual before you die cut it. And then I'm sanding the edge to bring out that white core, give it a little bit of visual texture. And then we could just slide this right here, and that will be a landing spot for my embellishments. Now I still want one more layer, and I did like the way that looked, but maybe we can add that third pop of black, just like a subtle little hint of it. I think that's going to look good. So I'm going to tear it towards me to reveal that white edge. And again, I'm tearing it just really carefully to get that nice and even edge. If you don't want the white cord, you would tear it away from you instead of towards you. So we'll just slide this up here, and yeah, I like that. It's kind of fun mixing blacks with the softer, more kind of pastel colors. I have this word sentiment sticker from the coordinating sticker sheet. It says, "I'll always love you." And I thought that was perfect for my siblings photo, and it also plays in with the owl sticker I've used. Before we get too carried away, I want to create my pocket on the back of this for my journaling, because I definitely want my journaling hidden on this layout. So I have a 4x4 flip flap. You could leave the adhesive strip on, but I actually want that pocket flush with the top of this piece here. So I'm going to cut that off and then just use a little adhesive to adhere it to the back. You can create pockets with paper or foam tape, but the flip flaps are so quick and easy, and they make a perfect pocket. Now I can go ahead and add some adhesive to get this tacked down. And you know, anytime you have movement where you're putting a tag or journaling in and out or extra photos, you want to use a super strong adhesive. So right where it's going to have the most movement, I am adding a strip of this red line tape. This is super strong and it's not going to budge. So this is going to hold it tight to the layout. That way I don't accidentally tuck my tag behind the pocket and have it fall down in there. So if I could peel this off, that does not want to come off. I'm going to use my scissors here and grab an edge, and there we go. So again, this is just going to make sure that my tag stays or directs into the pocket and doesn't go back behind, because sometimes if you lift, you can lift up tape runner, but definitely not that red line tape. I'm going to go ahead and get my other larger embellishments adhered, and then we will cut a tag for the pocket. Anytime you want your journaling to be private, or even if maybe it's not private, but you know, didn't leave enough room on your layout design, this is a great solution to sneak that journaling in. So I have a larger tag, and you can see that's not going to stick out the top very much. I do want it to show, and so I'm going to use partial die cutting just to make this tag a little bit longer. You want to give a little bit more room on the bottom, which I'll show you here in just a moment. Tape it into place so it does not shift when you run it through your die cutting machine. And then if you hang it off the edge of your die cutting plates, it's not going to cut that portion of your die. So I'll bring it into frame here in just a moment. I'm going to flip this over and you'll see that hanging off so it won't cut that. We can make our tag longer. You could technically go all the way up to a 12-inch tag if you wanted to. So I will grab my scissors, and I just need to trim off the bottom here. And now we have a longer tag than the original die allowed for. I gave myself plenty of room I can always trim off the bottom. So that goes flush to the top of the page. I don't want that either. I want it down just a bit. I use a top loading page protector so I could just reach in very easily and grab out the journaling to read the story. Now time for the fun embellishing. I have pulled all of the stickers that would potentially go with this layout from the sticker sheet. I did remove the adhesive so they're not quite as sticky. I'll lay those out. And then I wanted more black, so I grabbed the black acrylic hearts. These are really nice because there's lots of variety in here. You have different heart shapes and sizes, and the acrylic is thin so it doesn't, take too much. It's not too bulky on your layout. I also had these from my stash. They are paperboard shapes that are kind of florals and some butterflies. These were from the In Full Bloom collection. So I'm going to create a visual triangle. Now I've introduced that yellow color up top there, so I definitely need to be very intentional about spreading that around the layout to the other embellishments. So I'm thinking maybe just a little half circle of yellow poking out there. And then there's some gold foiling on these stickers as well. So I'm going to make sure to add a little bit of that gold foiling in each of the areas as well. So I'm just layering some of them underneath the photo, some of them over the photo. And I have a lot of very tiny stickers. I've used most of the big ones. There's also these kind of half circles and butterfly shapes from the workshop. So I've got 2 half circles in that same yellow color, and I bet if we strategically place those, we can kind of camouflage that they are 2 halves, and you'll think it's just one whole. So we're going to hide the owl, or hide the seam with the owl and then this sticker, and yep, that's going to work great. So just subtle touches of that yellow in each of the 3 areas. And then I want to bring these leaves in. They're kind of big for these flowers, but when you add a bunch of smaller stickers together, it kind of creates one larger element and acts as one instead of a bunch of little individual stickers. Hopefully that makes sense. This part's always fun because it's just like tucking and nestling and arranging things until you get it just right. Sometimes you got to stare at it for a while, and that's okay. I do want to add these hearts, maybe 1 to each area. I need to give that a little bit more space up top, so we'll just kind of shift that down. And then I can add a larger heart here above the owl, and then maybe 1 more down there. I used all 3 the same shapes. You could mix them up, but I think that looks really cute. And then these tiny ones, I'm literally just going to kind of nestle them in just to use them. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I don't scrapbook chronologically, but my layouts go into the albums chronologically. So when you have a throwback photo like this, what do you do with it? Do you have kind of like, I've called it a long lost memories album? Do you put it in the current album that year that you happen to create the layout? Where do you put these layouts when it's some random? Because obviously I don't have enough photos from this year to put together a whole album. So, what do you guys do with them? I'm super curious. Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to bring in my T-square ruler. This is super cool because it goes all the way across the layout and the top is magnetic, so you can remove that if you don't want the T. And then I highly recommend having a pair of reverse tweezers in your craft room. They are so handy for holding tiny little bits so you don't end up gluing them to your finger. And then this is the Barely Art Precision Tip Craft Glue. I do get this on Amazon. I've had that bottle almost a year now and I still have a lot of glue in there. I like it for these very tiny intricate pieces. If you keep the pin, it comes with a pin, keep the pin in the nozzle, it won't clog. It's fabulous. I really love it. So the T-square ruler is just kind of giving me a straight edge so I can get those lined up perfectly. And this portion is all one piece, which is super nice. I love it when that happens. So much quicker to get those lined up. And then I just will do the S separately here. And then we have our title. I want to add a little detail to the top of the tag. This is a hole reinforcer, which is the same shape, and that came with the tag set. It's the buildable tags. There's a couple different, there's a circular and then this oblong one, and then I'll just run a little bit of ribbon, so that'll make it to where I can easily pull that out. The journaling is private, but it's not like, so, I mean, other people could pull the tag out and read it, but it's not really a happy memory. I'm not just going to talk about how this was a family portrait photo. I'm actually going to document the memory of my brother, Peter. I don't have very many photos of him. He died when I was about 15 years old. He was killed in an automobile accident, and I want to, I want to record the memories I have of him, even though they don't specifically go with this photo. I can use this photo to tell his story. Whoa, that got sad real fast. Think happy thoughts, happy thoughts. It's life. As scrapbookers, we document everything. And I'm so thankful that I can tell these stories and preserve these memories through the scrapbooking. So it is so important. You guys make time for it and it matters. If you'd like to see still shots and close-up of all my artwork, you can head on over to Pinterest, Instagram, or Facebook. All the links to my socials are in the description box below. Thanks so much for spending time with me, and I'll catch you in the next video.